Welcome back to Laravel 5.5 new features from Dev Marketer channel. So now we're going to moving on to video number 8. We're talking about the new way to validate a request. So you guys already know how to validate. Validation kind of makes incremental changes every single update in Laravel, but now it's really easy because it's part of the request object. I'm a big fan of this. This is where I felt like it should have been the entire time, so I'm really glad to see this finally come around. So to demonstrate this, I want to take you into our project. I have set up a few things before we got this video started, just to kind of get you up to speed. We created a post controller. In this post controller, I basically returned the post.createView. In that post.createView, I've got a form filled out. And so then when we submit the form, it's going to go to this store request as you would expect. And right now I simply die and dump the request. Okay, so that's what I've set up. And then we've got inside of our resources, our views, I've got a create.blade, which has a form to submit. So let's go ahead and just take a look at that in the browser. Okay, so here we go. We've got the brand new project in the browser. So now if we go ahead and give it a name, this is the title, and this is the content for the blog post. And now we can go ahead and submit the data. Here we go, we submit and you get the request object. This is the full request object. This is what you normally are used to seeing if you go into your controller here. Normally we would, we have the request object here. Normally we would grab something like this object where we do this validate, and then we would validate against the request and then put the rules. So now it's very similar, but it's actually it's just one step easier. Since you are almost always validating the request, like almost always, there's been very few circumstances, like 1 or 2 I can think of, where I'm not validating the request. You can actually now just validate directly on that request. So it's just so stupid easy. So what you do is you're just going to come up here to request. You're going to grab that request object, and then you're going to validate directly on there, and that's it. Then you just pass in your rules and you validate it just like you did before. So let's go ahead and just validate the title. We'll say the title is required and it needs to be a string. And then we will say the content is also like required and needs to be a string. Okay, that's it. And then if we complete that, then let's go through and we'll just echo out and we'll just say valid data. Okay, so now that we've got that, I just want to demonstrate basically how this works. We're not creating a fancy application, so we're just going to echo back plain text, but I just want to prove that this is working. If it doesn't work, we'll get rejected back to the original page. So let's go through, I'm going to refresh this, and let's just say post title here, post content goes here. Let's go ahead and submit that. And here we go, we get valid data. Now, if we go back just to prove everything works, let's refresh this and let's leave one of these blank, or let's not put a string in, but we'll say this is content, but we leave the title blank. We would expect when we submit it, it just rejects it. It does, it rejects it, it brings it back. Now I haven't set up all the error messages and stuff like that, but you guys see that it is working. So when it tried to submit it, one of these items is required, it wasn't provided, so it just sent us back just as the old validate used to work. So this is super cool, super easy to use. It works just like the old validate object, except now you can run it directly on the request. You don't need to run it on the app object, this object, and then pass in the request. You can just run it directly on the request. It's super easy, just one step to making this a lot cleaner and easier to use. But otherwise, you can treat this the same as it was in the old versions as far as how it works, how it redirects back to the old page with the old input data and stuff like that. That's it for this video. Now, in the next video, I'm going to take it. We'll be doing video number 9 of 14, and the next video I'm going to take this one step further. Not only are we going to use this cool validate object, but we're going to create a custom validation rule, and it's a lot easier than it used to be. I'll show you guys all about that in the next video, so be sure to tune in.